Revival and Reformation, Peculiar Trials by Dave Livermore. Dave Livermore, M.A., is a retired president of the Gulf States Conference, Montgomery, Alabama, United States. An illustration I used in a sermon concerning potential goes like this. If you are in your 20s and someone says to you, "You have great potential," excitement goes through your mind and body. If you are in your 30s and someone says, "You have a lot of potential," you ask yourself how you can attain what the individual saw in you. If you are in your 40s and someone says to you, "You have potential," in a particular area of your career, you respond with, "I hope I can live up to that potential." If you are in your 50s and someone says to you, "You sure had a lot of potential," you bury your head in your hands, knowing you never achieved what was readily available to you. I chose instrument. I believe when God called us into ministry, He saw our potential, much as He did the time He knocked Saul of Tarsus off his high horse. God saw in Saul someone He never imagined he could be. Saul never imagined Paul until Jesus showed him his potential. God spoke to Ananias concerning Saul, saying, quote, "Go, for he is a chosen instrument of mine to carry my name before the Gentiles and kings and the children of Israel." End quote. Now, let us consider our call into ministry. From the above text, the call in our lives is clear. Ministry is not a career choice, but a God choice. But, again, is it not about the potential God saw in us? Potential we either live up to or do not? Not reaching our potential. What are the consequences if we do not reach our potential? Are they bigger than we might have imagined? If we shipwreck, many who believed and trusted in us or our words lose their way too. Quote, "Let come what would, I determined to please God and live as one who expected the Lord to come and reward the faithful. I felt like a little child coming to God as to my Father and asking Him what He would have me to do. Then, as my duty was made plain to me, it was my greatest happiness to perform it." End quote. I do not know where I read it, but it's imprinted on my mind. Quote, "The saddest words ever spoken or penned are these few words, 'What might have been.'" End quote. Acts 9 verse 16, talking about Paul, informs us that our calling is not to a life of ease or privilege. Quote, "For I will show him how much he must suffer for the sake of my name." End quote. Built within our call is the call to suffer without changing into someone Christ never intended for us to become. Hammering the potential. Ellen White wrote about her husband, James, having quote-unquote peculiar trials. She expressed candidly how certain experiences in ministry hampered his potential. Several times she wrote about how James was left to do the work himself. Quote, "How unjust, then, for his brethren who discover his errors to keep pressing the thorn deeper and deeper into his heart, to make him feel more intensely, when with every thrust they are weakening his faith and courage, and his confidence in himself to work successfully in the upbuilding of the cause of God." End quote. Criticism from others can build you up or tear you down. This, of course, depends on how it is given. One thing is certain, it changes you. We have all had quote-unquote peculiar trials. Did they affect our call, or did we see them as opportunities to grow and become more like Jesus in our work? We cannot become all that God called us to be without forgiveness, grace, mercy, love, compassion, and exemplifying Christ's character. We must keep our eyes on God and find our strength in Him only. Satan will try to discourage you and hamper your calling. Do not let him. Our calling is to be like Christ. For bibliographical and biblical references on this article, and for much more content for pastors and church leaders, please visit ministrymagazine.org.